The silly moments, the proud moments, even the hard moments. They're why Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is committed to making healthcare better, more affordable, with more choices for care, and peace of mind through it all. Because Blue is here for you.
One repeated theme that comes up time and time again on the Made in Iowa podcast is the importance of relationships. Relationships with your employees, with your lenders, with your suppliers, name it. Those relationships are super valuable. I'd like for you to talk about ways that you foster those relationships and build trust, because that is so important in today's society. I'll start with you, Brad.
I recently saw a quote from the CEO of Anthropic, and she was asked, what are you telling your kids to do for a living? She has young kids. And she said, well, I don't know what they'll do for a living, but I'm telling them they need to learn how to be in relationship. They need to learn how to work with people and communicate well with people, because she said that's never going to go away. And that struck me because we wonder about that sometimes, right? But it's so true. Our relationships with our internal team members, with our suppliers, that we're in constant contact with them about what we're seeing and what we need and what they need and how we can partner together. Customers, that's probably our largest challenge, is how do we keep listening? How do we keep interacting? My service manager is going to a new data center construction site in Texas in 2 weeks. We've got 9 pieces of equipment there, and he's just going to interact with them. And, how are you using this? And how is this working? And what can we do differently? But it all comes down to that personal human touch. So, I don't even know how you put a price on it. But I think we do need to continue to focus there and resist the urge to replace that with technology or whatever comes our way.
I completely agree. I'm going to turn it over to Tan. Tan, your product is expensive, and comparative to...
It's not expensive, it's costly.
It's costly. The products, the inputs are more expensive than chocolates that you would buy normally in the United States.
Correct.
Relationships with your vendors is very important. Relationships with your customers, because that is a trust that they have to have that product is going to be consistent. Talk about how you build that trust and the importance of those relationships.
Well, of course, there's several. I mean, there's the staff that manufactures and the staff that sells, and then there's the customers. Customers, first of all, I mean, we're very forthright about, I will gladly share with you that, for example, my cousin, who produces probably at least 300 to 400 fold what we produce, I would not trade his chocolates for mine. And why is that? Well, because especially the filled version of it, if you produce as a smaller producer, you have extreme control over your timeline from production to when the consumer gets it. So you can use ingredients that do not stand the test of time, meaning in this case, they do not survive 3-4 months. I am convinced that if you buy a Hershey bar in the store, it could be manufactured as much as a year or 2 ago. Well, when you start putting really high quality ingredients into your chocolate as fillings, you can't do that anymore. So our customers know that we watch our production facility like crazy. We assess it virtually weekly, but at least monthly on where we're going. And we're very open with the customer about how we produce. I mean, we have no secrets. I wouldn't say you can just walk in any moment you want and see how we do it, because the health department might not be thrilled about that. But we would almost be that open, yes. So I think that helps. And with our employees, they see our level of care. It's really that simple. I mean, because I agree with what I think Brad said earlier. In the long run, I'm a firm believer that human relationships is pretty much the only thing life is about.
Amen. I love that. Lori, the transition from Kirk McCullough, who had been there a really long time, to you took a level of trust with your team. When I visited last year, the relationship that you have with every person on the floor, I don't care where we were in the plant, showed that trust is there. How do you, on a daily basis, cultivate that trust?
Daily basis is one of the things. I do not hide behind my desk. I am out on the floor. I am having those conversations on a daily basis with employees at all level. And so I think, it's about the conversations. It's about the communication. So you use the word relationship, but it's really about communication. And switching over to like suppliers and customers a little bit. I love email, right? We're in an email world. I love email. But there are times when it's not appropriate for an email, where you have to pick up the phone or you need to drive and you need to see that customer. And it's not just about talking about the weather or, what's happening that day. It's diving down deeper, and it's really truly understanding what's affecting them. So when it comes to, the product that we're producing for them, how is that impacting their business? Actually, in part of our strategic planning, you will see that it says Seneca's Foundry success is based on our customer success. So if our customers are not successful, we are not successful. And so that relationship of going to the customer, making sure that you're really truly meeting their needs. And you have to do that through conversations. You have to do that through the personal touch. You can't hide behind an email to really, truly accomplish that. So yeah, I got us sidetracked on that side of it. On the employee side of it, it's really the same. Like, I'm not hiding behind my desk here. I'm on the floor, seeing those employees, talking to those employees, engaging with them, finding out what's difficult about the job they're doing. What do they enjoy about the job they're doing? How can I help? What resources can I bring to them? So
awesome. Daniel, you work with customers all over the country, if not the world. And I'm sure you've seen the negative impact of not having those relationships, and probably some warning signs, especially as we do experience these tariffs and as we experience all of the volatility in the market today. Do you have any cautionary tales about the impact of not having that foundation of trust?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we could talk a lot about the negative sides of not having those relationships, but I think that really what establishes that kind of a relationship and that kind of a dynamic, when it's either me on the consulting side with clients, or even collaboration with other individuals on our team, right? Not one economist is going to be coming with a forecast. There's a lot of collaboration and stress testing and trust that goes into that relationship. But even more so on the client side of things, you need to very quickly build up a lot of trust. Right, you're coming in, likely in a time. Most people are hiring us at a time when business maybe isn't doing quite as well, and they want to understand why. So it takes a level of care. It takes a level of real understanding and of quickly building rapport, and sometimes having hard conversations with the clarity of mind that we're all on the same team here, and a lot of times making recommendations that might be difficult, and understanding that at the end of the day, it is the customer's decision, but we want to be right there with you in each of these choices.
Now, experts from Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield, our Made in Iowa presenting sponsor, break down top health concerns for employers. Today, Dr. Naeem Munir, Senior Vice President and Chief Medical Officer, highlights the role employers play in improving employee health through daily health habits and regular preventative care.
My name is Naeem Munir. I'm a family physician by training, and I serve as the Chief Medical Officer at Wellmark. My role at Wellmark is to ensure that we provide evidence-based services to our members to improve their health and wellness. Preventive care, the best way to think about it is, in my mind, no one wants to wait for an illness and then deal with the illness. Everyone wants to take steps to be able to avoid illnesses, which is why getting the right sleep, moving on a regular basis, and food choices are so important. Above and beyond that, the next step is to make sure that for the diseases that are most prevalent, most common, people are taking steps to be able to reduce the chances that they're going to suffer avoidable consequences. A primary care physician can be a source of great information when so many of us have conflicting information about what's right and what's not right, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense with regard to prevention, whether it's vaccines or other information. The second reason a primary care physician is really important is there are a lot of things we can do for ourselves, but there are also things that only a primary care physician or a physician can order, such as giving one vaccines or having other preventative tests for cancer screening. The starting point should be going to My Wellmark and looking at the broad access to primary care physicians that Wellmark offers. Once you select a primary care physician, the primary care physician can be a source of great information to be able to shed light on things that might be confusing to so many of us as it relates to health information. There are so many ways in which an employer can support a healthy workforce given how much time employees spend in the work area. I think it starts with looking at what the culture of your own company is and finding ways to be able to integrate health and wellness in a way that feels authentic and natural to the culture of the company. The most obvious ways are to encourage wellness and prevention. And at Wellmark, our members, almost all our members, have preventive services covered at no cost. I think so much of life starts with prevention, and many times people might be scared to take that first step. It doesn't matter where someone's starting with. Prevention doesn't mean that you have to go run a marathon. Prevention just means taking an honest look at what motivates you and what small incremental steps you can take.
Thanks for listening. Want to learn more? Visit wellmark.com/made in Iowa. Wellmark is an Iowa leader in group health insurance coverage. Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield is an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
I'm going to switch gears real quick. And I spend a lot of time in my consulting business talking to manufacturers and other business owners about gaps in Iowa. There are workforce gaps, skills gaps, and there are, I think, process and product gaps in the Iowa economy that I think if we had a concerted effort, we could solve. If you could name one area that Iowa needs stronger collaboration amongst manufacturers, schools, communities, suppliers, policymakers, what would that be for you? And again, Brad, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Sure. I think the first thing that comes to mind is workforce. Working in a manufacturing job shouldn't be a consolation prize for kids coming out of school. We've got kids that have started right out of high school. They're owners, they're ESOP owners, they're contributing to a 401k. They're making plenty of money to support their family. They've got health insurance and dental insurance. And all we needed was someone who would be reliable and show up and work hard and give good effort. And then we can train them. And, there's all kinds of opportunities. And I think the schools are getting better at this. We have some apprentice programs that we're utilizing through the school. So we have high school kids come in and weld for us. There's programs like that, but there still seems to be a little bit of a stigma about that. And I think we got to all work together to break that stigma. Not everybody needs to go get a 4-year degree or a advanced degree to have a very fulfilling life. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. We got to keep working on that hurdle.
I agree. And I think part of that is because manufacturers are so impacted by external forces, and you've got so much complexity in what you do. You're head down making a product. And so it requires an alignment on all fronts to step alongside you and make that happen.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Lori, I'm going to turn it to you. Where do we need collaboration in the state?
Yeah, first of all, Brad, you are spot on. Couldn't have said it better myself. I appreciate all your comments. And so really just to take it one step further, with the community at the community college level, I think it's really great to have a collaboration with them as far as continued training. So, the week-long classes, some night classes where employees can enhance their skill sets. And so just like you, our employees can come right out of high school and be extremely successful. And we are going to invest in them if they want it, we are going to invest in them. And so collaboration with those community colleges helps me to invest in my employees, helps me to give them what they need, which ultimately serves the company. So I tell employees all the time, I will give you resources, I will give you tools. It's what are you going to do with it? How far are you going to take it?
Amazing. Todd, from your perspective, where do we need collaboration?
Well, I think the most important part is indeed, from our perspective, is with community colleges like DMAC, for example, so you can get people out of the culinary field into our manufacturing. I think part of it also, and I don't know if that answers your question, or I'm kind of dancing around that, but one of the things that bothers me so much, having come from a different culture, is that people have a tendency to look at people that work in actually making something as that has less value than the people that administer it or talk in front of a computer like we all now do. And I think it would be interesting as a culture, we could develop a lot more respect for that because it deserves it.
Amen. Daniel, you did the competitiveness by state survey and analyzed Iowa. Talk about the deficits you see in collaboration as you look at other states and their best practices.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, actually, Iowa stands up pretty well on the government side of things. When we think about potential for collaboration, when we think about how debt has been managed on a state level, it ranks very high. We think about the kind of population that's within Iowa, and that's an encouraging signal as well. We talked, earlier on the panel about the fact that we anticipate the agricultural industry, the food industry, to hold up quite well over the next decade, and we think that Iowa's in a pretty good position there. I'll actually echo. We'll go 4 for 4 with the need for that kind of pipeline and collaboration between high schools, trade schools, community college also mentioned. There's a client that we work with, a real success story, where they actually had a paid training program for welders. It was their welding school, and they were paying these individuals to be working at the time with a contract, obviously on the other side, to keep them with the firm. But it's a fantastic success story in an area that really didn't have a lot of high skill manufacturing workforce. They're really seeing a lot of growth and success through that. So that kind of relationship, it's people to people really is what's going to be a priority. Obviously, the government can incentivize and can help and bring larger resources. But when it comes down to it, that person to person relationship is paramount.
All right, I'm going to ask one final question. Over the next 12 months, where will your most consequential investment go in your people, your equipment, your products, capacity, or market development, and why? Brad, I'm going to start with you again.
The factual answer is we'll be making some pretty significant investment in equipment. but we also are making some investment, which I think is probably as important in our team. So we've set up a system where all of our positions have 4 levels, and we're incentivizing people to reach those levels by improving their skills or improving their behavior. What kind of teammate are they? So we're in year 2 of that. So we're ready and willing to make investment in our team as they progress through those levels, because there's financial incentive involved in that, and we're really, really excited about that. And the behavior things are probably just as exciting to me as the skill side of things. So a lot of our percentage of our investment will be in equipment, but we're hoping that we exceed what we have planned as far as paying people that are increasing in their levels, because we know that's we're going to get a great return on that investment.
Awesome. I'm going to turn it over to you, Tan. In the next 12 months, where will your investments be?
We had a meeting on Sunday with all our staff because we're making a significant investment in their lives currently. There will be some more investing into how to get our product to the consumer through direct marketing via the internet. We're getting some people involved that are a little more tech savvy than I am, or that some of our people are. But so we're looking a little bit more at, can we get our product directly to customers, since people are aching for great chocolate, because a lot of Americans have had the fortune of going to countries like Belgium or Holland or Germany and tasting it, and they just don't know where to always find it. So we got to find a way via the internet to say, we're here.
Yeah.
So,
Great investment.
yeah.
And I'll turn it to Lori. Next 12 months, what are you thinking?
So I've spent quite a bit on capital investments the last 6-7 years, and I am toning that down for the next 12 months. And listening to Daniel earlier, I think we're on the right track to tone that down a little bit. So really investing in the people. A strong culture, but there's teams that need to be worked on. There's some relationships within our facility that we need to work on, and so much stronger investment in people.
Awesome. And Daniel, as you guide folks through the next 12 months, and you look at these categories: people, equipment, products, capacity, market development, what's your advice?
I think I'll actually speak from an ITR perspective, and we'll be investing in this. And I think it is more of an investment in products. I mentioned on the panel our outlook, which again has been in place for a while, for the 2030s, and the prolonged depression that we're anticipating then. What that means for us as economists is that we want to be able to spread the word as best as possible, and we really want our work in our analysis and the product that we're putting into the market to help people on an individual business level. So we really are working on customizing the output and really trying to make sure it's as sophisticated as possible and really digestible as possible as well.
Wonderful. Well, I think that concludes our time today. Again, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your time here today. And I think the investment that you're making in this time will expose more people to manufacturing and hopefully the value of a career actually producing a product. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
your time.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Made in Iowa. Subscribe, like, and share wherever you listen. Catch episodes weekly from the Iowa Everywhere studio on the BPC streaming network.